Welcome into the Crow Show. I'm here to talk about some of the latest news happening in the game of Dead by Daylight. Earlier today, I watched the dev Q&A. So here's an outline of our show today. And again, this is my first time trying a show like this, so any feedback, requests, feel free to hit me up. I would love your feedback. We're going to be talking about some of these main points. There's a free weekend going on right now. We're going to talk about the Shrine of Secrets for this week. Going to be talking about the changes for the Blight that happened from PTB to the live chapter update. Going to talk about some known issues, and some do have a solution. Hill bug was finally fixed, so that's good news. And I'm going to talk about some of the highlights from the developer Q&A. So right now there is a free weekend happening on Dead by Daylight through Steam. So from September 8th through 13th, if you don't own the game on Steam, you can play it for free. A friend of mine is trying it out for the very first time. Thanks very much, Chettle. And there is a big sale on the game. It's 60% off from September 8th through the 14th. So if you're thinking about checking out Dead by Daylight, if you're trying to get one of your friends into it, be sure to get them to check out the sale on Steam. It's really, really exciting. So the Shrine of Secrets this week is not that exciting. The first one is Bamboozle. That's a teachable clown perk. It's okay. You can vault faster. You can block a vaulting location. It's okay, but it's very situational. Next one is Teachable Ash perk, Flip Flop. Not a very good perk. I recommend you pass on this one. Next one is Mad Grit. That's a Legion perk. Again, this one's very situational. Don't recommend you get this one, so skip past this one. Technician, that's a Feng perk. It's actually kind of interesting. If you have additional blood points, it might be worth checking out. Causes your repairs and your healing to be a little bit more quiet. It's reduced by 8 meters, so and who fails skill checks? Come on, let's get real here. Next thing we're going to talk about are the Blight Changes from the PTB. So the developers collected data during the PTB, and here are the changes. So they made a 2-part collision fix. If you played in the PTB, the Blight actually bounced around a lot. He was really, really hard to control. So they made a 2-part fix. So the hitbox that's in front of him is actually a lot smaller now, so he's not going to be bouncing off of everything and like crazy. And the second part is they added a collider that's stuck to the camera, so you bounce off the things that you see, and it makes it a little bit easier when you're up against walls. Like in the PTB, apparently you were just sliding down walls, so the hit detection wasn't optimized. So these two changes go towards fixing stuff like sliding down walls. There's no more double cooldowns, so in the PTB, you would rush, do a lethal rush, and when you landed a hit, you'd hit the survivor, and then you'd wipe your item, and then you'd inject the syringe. The change they made makes it a lot faster, so you're not getting a double cooldown. It's just like any other killer cooldown. So you hit the survivor, you wipe it, and you inject kind of all at the same time. So you're not penalized for landing a hit. And the Blight attack's actually faster while he's in the lethal rush, because he's moving faster in the PTB. When you'd start your swing animation with the Blight, you would actually slow down to a regular killer speed, and it was kind of awkward. But in this one, you follow through a lot quicker, kind of like when you do a hard M1, long M1 swipe as a killer. So he does attack faster while moving in the lethal rush, and his height change has been changed from tall to average. The Blight is a very, very short killer. I think about as short as the Hag. It's actually really weird when you try him out. So they changed that in the description. He is now average height killer, but I think he's shorter than that. Let's talk about some known issues. There is an issue happening right now, I believe on all platforms, where the killer is unable to hook a survivor. If you run into that bug, drop the killer, drop the survivor, and then try to hook the survivor. That might work. There were talks about that as a workaround. There are some totems on the Badham Elementary School map that cannot be cleansed. They don't have a fix for that right now. There are some heartbeat issues on a lot of killers right now. You may have noticed that. The killer gets super, super close to you, and then you can't hear their heartbeat, their terror radius. They thought it was just for the Blight at first, but it's actually happening on a lot of killers right now. There's no fix for that right now. There are a couple of issues happening on the Nintendo Switch. If you get a black screen, just restart your console. That should fix it. And some Switch users are experiencing a dark or blurry picture. What you need to do is remove your Switch from the dock and then put it back in the dock, and that should fix it. If you're trying to opt out of crossplay, if it's grayed out, you have to go back to the main menu again and then try to opt out again. But why would you do that? Come on. Stay with the rest of us. And if you run into an issue where you're not able to invite friends, just restart your game and that should fix it. Now we're going to talk about some of the highlights from the Q&A. There was a lot of questions asked. I left out most of them just because some of them just weren't that interesting. So I'm just going to highlight some of the main questions that were asked during the developer Q&A. Is MMR coming back? And the answer is yes. They are making adjustments. They did not specify what kind of adjustments are being made. The system is still running in the background so they can collect data to determine how good or bad you are at the game. So there will be future tests to the MMR, and the killer will be locked as they continue to gather data, because that's just going to be the way it is moving forward. So MMR, I really hope they get this down, because I would love to play different killers. And it's tough right now, you know. I have a YouTube video where I try to play as Leatherface with basically no perks, and I happened to run into one of the biggest DVD content creators and his friends all on comms, and they absolutely bullied me. So if we can get some working MMR so that some of us killers can try different killers and not be badly punished, that'd be pretty cool. Another question that came up, this is a popular one, are Moris and Keys getting nerfed? The answer is yes, they have plans for both, but there's no determined date for that. Are killer reworks coming? They said small things are coming. They made a change with the clown in terms of him throwing his vape juice, and they do have a minor change coming for the clown. They did not announce a date, and they did not announce any details. Another question was asked, when can we expect perk adjustments? They are looking at making balance adjustments, and they're going to arrive during the mid-chapter updates, and they're going to bundle them up. Kind of like the way they did for Billy and Leatherface. Some of their perks were reworked during a recent update, so they plan on making those changes during mid-chapter. This question came up as well. Why are blood points capped? And some people, there's like a myth that goes around. It's a way to combat cheaters, anybody using exploits to get like infinite blood points. It makes it easier to catch them. They kind of said that's not the reason. The reason is to get people to play the game. They want people to play the game, earn blood points, spend the blood points however they want. You know, maybe you want to prestige some characters, and they want people to keep playing, spending blood points, earning blood points, stockpiling blood points. My last video was actually about blood points, how to stockpile them and how to spend them. So you might want to check that one out. They also want they also want people using the new characters and the new content all at the same time. So capping the blood points kind of is a natural way to get people to continue to use new characters like Felix and the Blight. A question came up. Here are some console questions that popped up, and I wanted to talk about these. Will consoles get endgame chat? And the answer is no. Due to complicated issues, due to policies from Xbox and PlayStation, for example. They also said it would just be really difficult to try to type with your controller, so it's not very feasible. Will consoles get mouse and keyboard? The answer is no. They don't have plans for that. Question came up, will the globe ever be replaced by the PS4 and Xbox logo? Again, that one is very complicated due to policies from Xbox and PlayStation, so the globe is here to stay. And will PTB come to consoles? The answer is no. They cannot easily gather data through the console platforms. It's much easier to do through Steam. So there are no plans to bring the PTB to consoles. Sorry, console players. And here are the last few questions that I wanted to talk about in this video. Will there be any updates on hit validation? They're hoping to re-enable it soon. They will be talking about when it goes live on their Discord and their Twitter. They had an issue with a hatchet for Huntress. When survivors were close, the hit validation wasn't working for Huntress, so issues like that prevented them from enabling that. Unfortunately, this will not fix when you get a killer who has very bad connection. So, you know, killers with long arms, it's not really going to fix that. They didn't really talk about any further details regarding that, but it will not fix when somebody has a bad connection. Will Dead by Daylight remove Bloodlust? They have no plans right now, but they do talk about it a lot. The idea of removing Bloodlust. And I don't know how I feel about that. You know, it's when you're a killer, you're up against 4 people. And if you run into the wrong survivor, even with Bloodlust, it can still be really hard. They can still loop you for 2 or 3 generators. And that's a really big disadvantage if we remove Bloodlust. I don't know how I feel about that if they do remove Bloodlust. No plans right now, but they're talking about it. Are there plans to give Huntress a second ultra rare add-on? So Huntress only has 1 ultra rare add-on right now. So they said yes. At some point, the add-ons will be reviewed. They do have a standardized formula for how many add-ons each killer gets. Each killer should have 4 common, 5 uncommon, 5 rares, 4 ultra rare, 4 very rare, and 2 ultra rare. They can't remember when exactly they found that formula, but that's the formula they want every killer to have. So Huntress is due for another second ultra rare add-on. They just haven't determined that just yet. So that's about all I wanted to talk about in terms of news for Dead by Daylight this week. This is a show I want to release every single Friday moving forward. Just we can talk about new metas that we notice, maybe show some highlights, plays of the week, stuff like that. But this was just a really good opportunity to talk about the news that happened in today's developer Q&A and just talk about the new chapter. If you have any requests, if you have any suggestions, feel free to hit me up. I'm very active on Twitter and Discord. Links to that in the description below. If you want to see more like this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss my next video. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the fog.